The NHL Network has dropped their top 20 players of every position. And of course, the Carolina Hurricanes have guys showing up on this list yet again. And we will also be diving into the media availability from the Carolina Hurricanes' newest roster addition.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Caniacs. I'm your host, Jared Ellis, and you're watching and listening to Locked On Hurricanes on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes, and myself on Twitter at Jared Ellis _96. And of course, thank you for making Locked On Hurricanes your first listen of this Wednesday morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening. Thank you. And as I mentioned, the NHL Network has dropped their top 20 players of every position. We'll be diving into that in this episode, as well as looking at Paul Stastny's media availability. I'm still struggling to pronounce that last name. But, diving into this, starting with the centers. As no one is surprised, Sebastian Aho landed at number 9 on the top 20. I almost said defenseman. Centerman for this year's list is, we'll go through the top 10 here. Connor McDavid, number 1. Austin Matthews, 2. Nathan McKinnon, 3. Leon Draisaitl, 4. Sidney Crosby, 5. Alexander Barkov, 6. Steven Stamkos, 7. Patrice Bergeron, 8. Sebastian Aho, 9. And Mika Zibanejad at 10. You'd obviously, may move a couple guys around here, but as a whole, top 10 centerman for Sebastian Aho, kind of in that bottom 5 of the top 10. I think that's fair for him. Really, really no complaints on this one. But getting into the wings, no one from the Carolina Hurricanes there. I don't agree with that. I think Andrei Svechnikov and or Teuvo Teravainen should have been in there. And yeah, I don't really agree with that in the slightest. We'll dive through that top 10 as well because, just scrolling through the comments section of this one, you'll agree. Not a lot of people agree with this one. Alexander Ovechkin, number 1. Nikita Kucherov, 2. Kirill Kaprizov, 3. Mitch Marner, 4. Jonathan Huberdeau, 5. Mikko Rantanen, 6. Johnny Gaudreau, 7. Artemi Panarin, 8. Brad Marchand, 9. Patrick Kane at 10. Yeah, I'm not really agreeing with this in the slightest. And as I mentioned, you go through the comment section on that. Not a lot of people do. This is all of these kinds of lists, whether it's NHL, NFL, NBA, whatever. Name value is going to carry a lot of weight. Like Alexander Ovechkin, he's obviously one of the top wings in the game. Is he the best one? No. Just like the NFL Network top 100 player list. Tom Brady was number 1. You guys know me. I'm a huge Tom Brady fan. I know I'm wearing a Panthers shirt right now, but you guys know I'm a massive New England Patriots fan. They're my favorite team. And Tom Brady is one of the best players in the league. He's the greatest player of all time, but he's the best player in the NFL right now? No. I'd say that's Aaron Donald. But, this stuff, it's very subjective and whatnot. So, I don't really agree with that. And again, name value, Alex Ovechkin, Patrick Kane, they're big names. Of course, they're going to show up whether it's deserving or not. And then you get over into the defensemen. You had Jaccob Slavin at 13 and Brent Burns at 20. Burns, I think that's pretty fair. He's coming off like a 52 or 54-point season on a bad San Jose team. He's still a really good defenseman. I think, after this season, maybe jumps up a little bit in those rankings. I think, he's going to have a really good season this year. But Jaccob Slavin is one where I have a lot of criticism at number 13. Yeah, it's disrespectful. That is really disrespectful there. The Carolina Hurricanes, they sent out a post of wanting folks to put respect on Slavin's name. But we've talked about it in the past. He's not a flashy player. He doesn't put up a whole bunch of points. He's a defensive defenseman. Is he top 3, top 5, if not number 1 in the defensive categories? Yeah. Go look at that stuff. He's up there. And I think the reason he isn't top 10 is because of the style of game that he plays. He's not one to go score a bunch of goals, put up a bunch of points, not have those highlight reel kinds of plays. And that's why. That's what people want. You look at the Norris Trophy. Jaccob Slavin should absolutely be in that conversation. And he gets votes, but it's best defenseman on paper is what it says. But in reality, it's the best offense defenseman. Which defenseman puts up the most points, or the most goals. You look at the list. Number 1, Cale Makar. 2, Victor Hedman. 3, Roman Yossi. 4, Adam Fox. 5, Charlie McAvoy. 6, Chris Letang. 7, Aaron Ekblad. 8, Devin Taves. 9, John Carlson. And 10, Mira Heiskanen. It's those guys put up more points than Jaccob Slavin. That's why they're there. That's why they're there. Plain and simple. It is what it is. With that thing, like I said, these things are very subjective, and people are always going to disagree with stuff like this. I brought up the NFL Network one. A lot of folks disagree with that. And a lot of folks disagree with this. I think the Wings was the worst. And you imagine a goalie one is going to come out before too long, and Freddie Anderson, he'll be on there. I think he'll be top 10. I'd imagine. Maybe top 5. We'll have to wait and see on that to see just what happens. But like with the Vezina, I think he's kind of into the season. That kind of hurt him. For the season he was having. But that's just something time will tell. Again, you take it with a grain of salt. It's something to just get folks talking. And like I said, name value is going to carry a lot of weight in this stuff. Like Alex Ovechkin, the one kind of that really sticks out. It's really good, but he's not the best anymore. But what are you gonna do? I don't work for the NHL Network. I imagine you probably don't. If anyone for the NHL Network is watching, I don't like that list. But in the meantime, as I mentioned, the Carolina Hurricanes, newest member of the roster, did have his media availability a few days ago, and we'll be listening to that and dissecting what he had to say right after this quick break. Now, folks, the NHL season is right around the corner. Preseason is just less than a month away. Can you believe it? So if you're going to want to place bets on someone to win the Stanley Cup, your team's win prediction, whatever it may be, betonline.net is your number one source for all of your pro and college football betting needs. College football season is right around the corner. I think NC State's first game is this weekend, I think, September 3rd. So find all of the latest football league developments, game matchup news, and podcasts, including this year's opening week games. BetOnline is also your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. Not only do you have college football this weekend, you also have a big week as far as professional wrestling goes. You have AEW's All Out. You have Clash at the Castle. You have Worlds Collide. You got a lot of stuff going on there. So if you want to place a bet on who you think's going to win a title match, is it going to be Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre? Is Jon Moxley going to retain the AEW World Undisputed World Championship? Whatever it may be, BetOnline is the place to go. They are the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite sports and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now, folks, as I mentioned, it's time to take a listen to what Paul had to say in his media availability a few days ago. We'll listen to that, and then we will dissect just what he had to say.
Hey, Paul. Welcome to Raleigh, I guess. Can you tell us a little why this is a fit for you, and maybe where you see yourself slotting in here? Do you still see yourself as a center, the wing, or just somebody who can provide both?
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited to join the squad. Excited to get going. And I've always kind of respected the last couple of years for sure the way they play. I feel like every team's good on paper, but then there's certain consistencies and some different work ethics and kind of challenges different teams bring upon you. And Carolina was always one of those teams like, yeah, these guys play good. They play the same style where all four lines come at you hard and aggressive. They play that smart two-way game. And then, they've been close. And then I think, once they were we were always kind of interested in them. And then, to make it work, I think was something that, I'm very excited about. And then center wing combination for me, so I kind of look at the forward depth and realize, there's a lot of good players there that can play wing or center. So when you play with those smart players, to me, it really doesn't matter.
Steve?
Hey, Paul, congratulations on the deal. 21 goals last year. I'm wondering, kind of, even at this stage of your career, what makes you kind of ability to kind of get that goal scoring back?
Longer season. I think, a couple seasons before that were kind of shortened seasons, but no, I felt good. I think I tinkered a few things with kind of the way I work out, kind of my diet a little bit. And then, like I said, good players, but it's more about creating chances. And, sometimes you're scoring goals when you should be scoring goals, and sometimes you're not scoring goals when you should be scoring goals. And as long as you're creating those chances kind of over the course of the year, I think kind of law of averages kind of always gives, and you're going to get, those opportunities. And, in today's game, I think you have so much skill where a lot of guys can score, nice highlight reel goals. And I've never been kind of that guy. I've always find a way to get to the puck to the net, kind of time the puck. And, if you look at all my goals in my career, I'm sure the majority are from, within 3-4 feet of the net. And you got to go to the hard areas to get goals.
Go ahead, Walt. Walt, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Paul, welcome into the organization. You talked a little bit about the team being very close, and it's obviously their goal to achieve a Stanley Cup within the next season or two. What is it that excites you most about the opportunity in Carolina?
Yeah, I think it's just winning. I think it's a chance to win. I think that's what everyone wants. It's so hard. I mean, you can ask anybody, at the start of the year, there's 20 teams that think they have the chance of winning. But there's a good mix of younger players kind of coming to their own, and a good mix of veteran. And I think there's a coach that understands how to win. And, the last 2 years, I can recall they've been pretty close to winning. And you lose out to Tampa, who ends up winning it all. You lose out to New York in a tight 7 series. New York could easily be in Tampa and in the finals. You just, it's sometimes it's just kind of little plays here and there can determine a season of, how good you can be, and takes a little luck. But I just like kind of the combination they have of like skill, speed, strength, and a mix of, younger guys that are hungry and older guys that want to win as well.
Alec?
Yeah, hey, Paul, congrats. You, early in your career, played a couple of times against Brind'amour as a player, but now coming with him as the head coach. What have you heard about him as a coach, and how excited are you to get this opportunity to play for him?
Yeah, I think just honesty. I think he's a straight shooter. That's what I've heard a lot of things, very personal, really gets to know the guys on and off the ice. And then that goes a long ways. But I think as a coach I always kind of judge him by the way guys that played with him, whether, they were a first line guy or whether they were the 13th forward, they say the same amount of things and kind of the way the team plays. And honestly, like I said, they play that hard two-way kind of aggressive, hunt the puck, kind of get the puck mentality checking game that, Rod was so successful in his career. And I think he's kind of built an identity to that team, and then it kind of starts from him and what he knows how to be successful. And I think the team kind of feeds off that and believes and, trusts his message.
Mike Solarte.
Hey, Paul, Mike Solarte here, Spectrum News 1. Congratulations on the deal. Welcome to the Carolinas. After 1,000 NHL games and at the age of 36, you touched on the youth that the Hurricanes have and the nice mix of the older guys, the veteran guys. I mean, you're coming into a team now that adds Brent Burns, Max Pacioretty, even though he's injured right now, he'll be coming back at some point. Where do you feel the biggest need for this team is based on so much youth? I mean, do these guys just kind of need someone in the room to help them show them the way and a little bit of, learn a little bit more about the NHL? Because this core group has been together a couple of years, but they're still very young.
Yeah. And I think, there's older guys like myself or Burns, your Patch, like everyone kind of tries to lead by example or teach kids different ways. And, for me, I've always I have nice relationships with all players and my teammates I've had. And I realize that, every player is different. I've always been kind of one of those guys that helps my teammates get better. So I want the best out of my teammates, because if they're doing well, team's doing well, everyone's in a good mood. And I kind of realized that. I think early in my career, I was fortunate enough to learn that from, I had my dad, obviously, first and foremost, which was always nice for me when I was younger. But then I had, the likes of, Joe Sakic or Adam Foote or, Pierre Turgeon, Andrew Burnett. And these are guys I'm so close with, but I still remember my early days. And, even when they did leave, they'd always kind of keep in touch, try to always help me on and off the ice. And sometimes it's I feel like a lot of it is really mental, it's a long season, goes through ups and downs. And some guys, put too much stress on themselves sometimes a little too easy. And there's kind of like a fine balance. And I think as if you've gotten older, you kind of realize that and you try to kind of teach that wisdom to the other guys.
Are you comfortable with as respectfully as I can, that's what the older guy label? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'd rather be older than younger. I think in today's age, I'm sure everyone says that. It's changed a lot, but no, I'm, I feel like I've learned a lot and yeah, I love where I'm at. I love it's always kind of fun playing with, whether it's 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds or 30, different guys, and they're different aspects of their lives, whether off the ice or getting married or whether on the ice, they keep getting better. And it kind of gives you that kind of a jolt of energy. And, as much as they can learn from me, I can also learn different things from them. That kind of makes it fun.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Chip.
Yeah, welcome to Carolina. Just a couple of quick things. What was your initial reaction to Max Pacioretty's injury, and have you had a chance to talk with him? And I guess the second question would be, how soon do you intend to get to Carolina and start working out with some of the guys?
Yeah, I think I was just, I felt bad for him because I know I'm really close to him. I know how hard he works. I know how motivated he is and how hungry he is. To play and get better and kind of prove a doubters wrong or just keep showcasing his skill. And, sometimes it's very unfortunate and you feel bad for him. And, sometimes you take a step back and, it could be a blessing in disguise. You never know. I think, time will tell, but maybe it'll be good for him just kind of reset a little bit. And then, when he does come in, he'll be, that much more hungry, that much more fresh in the middle of the season when everyone's kind of lagging a little bit. But, it's different ways to put perspective. And then, obviously, like I said, I talk to Patch every day. So whether it's about hockey, whether it's about life, whether it's about anything, we're both in similar stages in our career. And then that we really can talk about a lot of things that are just not hockey. And I think to me, that's always kind of fun. And hopefully around Labor Day, plan on coming down. I think got to just figure out living situation, schools for the kids, and move everything down there. But, I think the last, 12 hours, we've been kind of busy just on the phones all day, figuring that stuff out. And, for my wife and I, it's about making it as easy as possible for our kids to be comfortable. And then, I know how the NHL is. I know all these guys are. That you step in the locker room, they make you. They're all the guys in the league. Welcome you with open arms, and we're all cut from the same cloth. So I'm excited to join these guys.
Go ahead, Corey.
Was it a consideration at all making a jump to Eastern Conference after playing out West for so long? And then secondly, have you thought at all about the chance to play in another outdoor game?
Do they have an outdoor game? I didn't even know that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. You know what? So, I feel like sometimes I've been through this process before, and sometimes in your mind, when you think you're going to go to one place and that's all you think about, something else kind of happens, and something good always comes out of it. I think I've done a good job with my dad and my agent. We always kind of take a step back and just look at all the options and weigh them down. And the Eastern Conference thing was, I always thought like I've only played Western Conference, but it's a new challenge. Like I said, I think this league now is so good. It doesn't matter, if you're playing on the best team in the Western Conference or the worst team in the Eastern Conference. Every night is a competition, and you got to be at your best. But I told my wife now after playing Carolina, now we've played in Pacific time zone, Mountain Central, and Eastern time zone. So we'll get a little taste of everything. And, you only grow and learn from stuff like this. And it's something that we come in with a positive attitude, and we're excited about it.
Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, thanks. Hey, Paul. Two questions. One, did you have higher money offers in free agency than this one? And then as sort of a part two to that, as you become a veteran player, as we've talked about, does that decision in free agency to maybe forego larger cash offers for an opportunity like Carolina become an easier one?
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of different options on the table, and so that's one thing you got to think about. And that's kind of thing like I've been fortunate to play long enough that it's not about the dollars and cents. Obviously, it's always nice, and you can see what your market value is in one sense, but at the same time, my wife and I have always wanted a chance to win. As later in our career, we've been fortunate enough to play in good teams, and you come close and you realize how hard it is. And maybe it might never come. That's all right. But as long as you give yourself a chance and you have good teams come knocking on your door and they think you're valuable, I think that's a risk we're always willing to take.
Go ahead, Steve.
And I know you mentioned, Paul, about Max coming back essentially and kind of giving you guys a boost. But while he's gone, as much as you don't want to see him out, is there something, maybe a void that you could fill in kind of his absence until he gets back?
Yeah, but we're different players, I think, on the ice, off the ice. But he's got that old school mentality though, which I like, and he's very direct, very honest, no nonsense about him. And I think that's sometimes some, young people take it the wrong way, but I think once they understand where he's coming from and realize it's like he's only trying to help you out, then they realize that, yeah, he wants to do everything. He's not afraid to call someone out or be more direct, just if it's going to help that player become a better player, if it's going to help that team, the team win and get a couple extra points. And I think he's learned from it. I think he's played in, he was captain Montreal, which is, the highest pressure maybe next to Toronto right there. And, it's always tougher being an American and a Canadian, especially a French market. But, he's seen the highs and lows. He's seen what works and what doesn't work. And I think that's the one thing as you get older, you play with so many good players, so many good teams, and you see how different people lead and you see what works, what doesn't work. And you try to be adaptable to all the different players, whether it's, it's one way to talk to a top line guy. It's another way to talk to a fourth line guy because they have different mindsets, there's different mentality, and there's kind of different stress levels on all those guys.
Greg, did you have another one?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. We just listened to what all Paul had to say, and a lot of it, very much like the Brent Burns one. A lot of it, is the typical, coming to a new team type stuff that you say. But I do find that as interesting, is that he turned down more money to come here, and I think that says a lot about the team and the state they're in now. Years ago, it was hard to get folks to come here. It was a crap team. It wasn't a good team. And now, it's a consistent playoff team, a team that is hoping to contend for a Stanley Cup. I forget which news place it was, but I know one place, had the Hurricanes picked to win the Stanley Cup. They're last season, they're one that very well could have, and they're really looking to get over that hump. I've said it, many times here before that a lot of times, it feels like they're, the old Tampa Bay Lightning, where they're, so good in the regular season, but, come playoff time, they're just struggling to get over that hump, And, I also, mentioned, when Steven Stamkos was on Trip Tracy's podcast, he likened the Hurricanes to those Tampa Bay Lightning teams. And so, the fact that we're able to draw people in like this, I think is really good, And, he mentioned, his offense, I talked about it the other day. I'd reached out to Harrison, the host of Locked On Winnipeg Jets, about Paul, and what we can expect, of him being a guy that can still contribute offensively, play kind of up and down line, be that middle six forward. It'd be interesting to see where he slots up. That's obviously going to be a training camp thing. Training camps are right around the corner. Preseason is less than a month away. I was looking at that earlier today. So as far as where he'll slot in, just kind of have to wait and see. But, being able to add, solid veteran that can still contribute like that, I think is really, really good. And, I mentioned on the episode the other day that a lot of folks were talking, that is a steal for that price. 1 year, 1.5, that's a steal. A guy that can still contribute is really, really big because that's what they needed. When Max Pacioretty went out with his injury, we have obviously speculated here on the show of what the plan is going to be. I literally had said, on that episode, the day they signed him, that I don't see them signing any free agents or making any sort of big trades or anything like that. But, lo and behold, they go and do it. So that'll really be interesting to see what happens here as far as where he's going to slot in and what his role is going to be. You obviously mentioned he's comfortable, being the older guy. That's what he is. You look at last season, like Derek Stepan, Ian Cole. They knew their role of where they're at in this point of their career. They're the older veteran guys. You mentioned Derek Stepan, he's on a PTO right now, so it wouldn't surprise me if he honestly ends up being like an extra forward for the Hurricanes because he is a guy that knows the system. And in my opinion, he did really good for the Hurricanes last year. And it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens with him. You also just brought Ryan Dzingel back. He's two-way deal, so he's kind of probably going to be more of a Chicago guy with the way the lineup is. But you also have him in the mix now as well, a guy that a lot of NHL experience, understands the Hurricane system, which I think is going to be big. And a lot of moving pieces heading into this offseason. One thing that was weird was, him saying that he didn't know the Hurricanes had an outdoor game, which, I figured, as fans and, folks that cover the team, we're obviously going to be clued into this kind of stuff. We're going to know this is happening. We're keeping up, every little thing. They're, hoping, for every little bit of information, we get about this Stadium Series game. We've been begging for years. We got put off. So of course we know. Obviously, players, they're gonna have a bit of a different mentality, especially the ones that don't play here or didn't or play here. Maybe guys that are gone now. Like Nina. He obviously knew that game was happening. Now it's not for him. He's in Nashville, but guys that have been here, they're gonna know. But guys that are outside of it, they're probably not keeping up with what the Hurricanes are doing, especially being like a small market team. They're not really gonna keep up with that stuff the way you or I would, or players that play here, you know? So I don't really look into that. A little funny, yeah, because it's a big thing. But again, he doesn't play here. He doesn't have to keep up with what they're doing. But I'm really looking forward to what he can bring here. He mentioned, everyone really likes the system, that plays here. How hard the Hurricanes play. That's something a lot of folks bring up, when they're talking about the Hurricanes, when they're playing for an opposing team, or when they come here. That's something they always talk about, of just how hard this team plays. That it's one that's circled on the calendar now of like, oh, we're gonna have to play really hard. So really looking forward to see how that goes. Training camp again is right around the corner. Same with preseason. So we'll get more of an idea of what his role is going to be on the team then. But in the meantime, make sure you follow Locked On Hurricanes on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes, and myself on Twitter at Jared Ellis _96. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode.